I'm ready whenever you are.
Questions there?
Lawrence. Yeah, he went to go get his driver's license.
I had to go get mine renewed the other day. They were talking about people coming in to open accounts with renewed driver's license, but you can't open a bank account with.
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Introduction of guests. We have Mark Armstrong, Ben Trotter, and Jeff Moses. And y'all are with the Association of Home Inspectors. Okay, well, welcome to the meeting. Susie, roll call.
Michael Graffino.
Here.
Sarah Hopkins. Brian Hester.
He's here.
Wally Lovelace. Julie Matthews. Here. Scott McKinnon.
Here.
Matthew Mueller. Sarah Stevens. Here. Daniel Storley.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Okay, I guess we'll do Sarah first. Sarah Hawkins had a prior engagement. She notified Diana. So I would ask for a motion to excuse her absence.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then Wally, what's the deal on Wally?
No contact.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for excuse or no excuse. Y'all. Or,
I'm going to choose them that
okay. All right. All in favor of unexcused absence on Wally, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that the only two, Susan?
Yes.
Next is the adoption of the meeting agenda. Everybody's had a chance to review it and have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approval of the board minutes for November of 2025. Not any corrections, should I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, chairman's report. First on the list, the home inspector contract investigator. Back on Friday, December 19th, we interviewed 7 individuals that expressed an interest. And so it was me, Matt, Sarah, and Brian. And we decided to offer that position to 5 of those individuals. What we looked at was kind of the state. In the perfect world, we'd have one in the northwest corner, one in the northeast corner, southwest, southeast. And by using these 5, the whole state was fairly well covered. So you're not going to have someone from Jonesboro having to go to Texarkana. And I'll remind everybody that this wasn't a board's idea. Okay, down the street. And so we're fulfilling Senator Bryant's wishes. Anything else we need to add to that?
No, we've talked to all of them. They're all very excited about being included. And we'll get that up and running here next week. So I'm excited about it. I think we've got some good choices here.
So we haven't sent anyone out there yet.
No, we have not. We got caught up in renewals.
Okay, we need to approve a date change for the March board meeting. It was scheduled for March 20th. So we need to change that to March 27th. And then the day prior, March 26th, Dennis Badger is going to be here to teach the DEI class. It's mandatory for all the appraisers. But I would highly recommend the home inspectors, well, and all board members to come to the class. But, again, that's your discretion. It's not the appraiser's discretion.
How long is the class?
7 hours.
Is it, I've had several people ask me about this, but is there a test required?
If you got an existing, certified general or certified residential, no, there is no test. If you're an aspiring appraiser, like someone that's state licensed or upgrading, then yes, that's qualifying education, and you've got to take the test.
It was a mixed bag on what it was, and I sure everybody had to find that.
One clarification on that, if you're certified residential and you intend to upgrade to certified general, you must take the test before you can upgrade. So if you're an aspiring appraiser, you're a registered apprentice, and your intent is to upgrade, you have to take the test. And if you have a license or certification that you're ever going to upgrade, we're recommending that everyone go ahead and take the test now, so they don't have to redo the class
Ever in
later.
the future.
Ever, because if you're ever intending to upgrade, you need to go ahead and get the test done now. Otherwise, you'll have to repeat the class and take the test when you're ready to upgrade.
Okay, so, so if you are upgrading, you have to take the test. If you're ever upgrading, you have to take the test. If you are not upgrading, you do not have to take the test.
If you're not, I'm certified residential, I don't ever intend to upgrade to certified general, I'm not taking the test.
Okay, so, because some people I've had 3 appraisers call me and ask me about it, and it's a little vague on how it's worded, and they weren't quite sure. What can you find out? So that's what I'm doing. If they take it online, it requires a proctored exam, so they have to go to their closest proctored location, which in our case is Facebook. So, like if they go through the kids or something like that. So, okay, that's what I will say.
If you take the test, it's an 8-hour class. If you don't take the test, it's a 7-hour class.
Okay. And if it's online, it's 7 hours and then an hour
Yes.
under the proctor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because I don't want to assume if you're a board member, going for the training, you do not take the test.
You don't have to take the test, no.
Okay. And, as a board member, how do you sign up for that?
You just let us know you want to be here.
Okay.
And at the next board meeting, we'll probably put it on the agenda for home inspector education so that they can count it towards their CE requirements.
Yeah, and I think it's real important, to follow up on what Scott said, that as a board, it would really be, a good thing for all of us to be there, all the board members, because we're gonna be hearing some cases probably that deal with this. I think that, it's just a smart move on all of our parts to have that training, so that we've had the training as a whole board. So, it's an extra day, but it's also, I think, important for board.
But it counts towards our CE, which I do this year.
Yes,
So, yeah.
you have to have it to renew this year.
Yeah.
Will it count toward the home inspector CE as well?
Yes, we'll fix it where it counts toward for their CE as well.
While you do this, correct?
I just wanted to be clear because I've had so many questions asked about it.
Absolutely. It's confusing, and some of the education providers we've discovered are confused as well.
Susie, you picked Wally. Okay. So I need a motion to change the board meeting from March 20th to March 27th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, committee reports. Sarah?
Thank you very much. I want to start the education committee report out by saying, thank you again to Sarah for all your hard work. I appreciate it so much. Susie, thank you for your hard work and follow up. We made a couple of changes going forward, and Sarah initiated this, that I think will be really, really helpful, especially to me, and to them in terms of taking a look at the education that's been turned in and being able to move forward with an approval or rejection. It's especially as at this time, we had like, at one time, 17 offerings for home inspector education turned in at the same time. That's a lot. And it's a lot to review, and it's a lot to go through and make sure that we have everything there. And in some cases, we return things to the providers 3 or even 4 times, asking for corrections and updates. So it's not a slam bam type thing, you know, you turn it in and get approved. And so this will give us the new form that she sent out and the new letter asking them and telling them that they needed to turn it in the week before our meeting, or it would automatically go to the next board meeting's deliberations. So if we didn't get it in time, for example, this time, then it would not be okay until March. And that puts providers at a real disadvantage because everybody wants to take a class that's been approved. And, you know, it's kind of, it's not a positive that what you turn in gets approved. You know? So.
Quarter.
Yeah, that way. And a lot of them, you know, initially, there'll be some things that are missing or some things that are misunderstood. For example, they'll turn in a timed outline that doesn't add up to the number of minutes that they say it does. And so that's pretty hard. And you know, all of this goes back to the fact that on the appraiser side, when they come from the subcommittee to check us out, they check that stuff. And if we're not right, then people who have taken those classes don't get credit. That credit goes away. So we want to be sure that we're doing the right thing for our appraisers, and we're doing the right thing for our home inspectors, and making sure that what we give credit for is actually enough or not enough, and just keep it right for everybody. So Sarah is asking them again to turn their materials in the week before the board meeting. That's the cutoff date. And the sooner that's turned in, the better it is. And we did have most of ours turned in this time. I think this week we had 3 people, two providers who turned their stuff in. And we went ahead and got it taken care of because we hadn't put the word up. But going forward, that's the way it's going to be. Okay, so let's go through what we're going to approve. All of these have been vetted, some of them more than once, but we think we're on the right track with them. First of all, we'll do the home inspectors. And I think that it's all right, Mr. Chair, we'll go through these and do them in sections. That I read that vote on each one individually. All right. First of all, as part of the Arkansas Association of Real Estate Inspectors, we have several offerings. And these are part of their spring CE event. And it's like all of these are asking for 2 hours of CE. Again, had the opportunity to work with some people who have been very, very helpful in making sure that we have what we need, how we need it, and that the home inspectors education going forward is in good shape. So the first of the ones that we want to look at, building science, other safety and protection, assessing foundation performance when movement warrants further evaluation, electrical for home inspectors, moisture and indoor air quality, and what do you see, what do you say? And all of these are 2-hour classes, and I'd like to recommend that we approve them for credit for our home inspectors. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Can I ask a question, maybe to Ari? There's 6 classes, which is 12 hours,
Yes.
and normally I budgeted 14.
So
was gonna be my question. My question is, did they, ask for any other approvals besides this?
Is we already have some pre-approved for
For this event? Understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a couple of them are actually backed up for in case somebody doesn't show.
But this is a big spring event.
Yes.
correct?
This is a 2-day session.
And we do 2 training sessions a year. That's spring and fall.
Any other discussions? All right, all those in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Our second group is from, Ashley, and it is again, home inspector education. These are all 2-hour CE. Plumbing fixtures and residential HVAC, sizing, concrete structure. Don't get hurt like that guy did, an adoption history, electrical, infrared applications for home inspectors, and inspecting EV charging systems. Moving forward on the next page, inspecting PV and generator power systems. There's a quiz for 2 hours of CE, inspection quiz. World navigating structural integrity and home inspection structures. Pool inspections and real estate market. Residential ventilation, smart homes. Structural defects, winter recommended engineer. Future of comfort, heat pumps, HVAC trends, and refrigerant regulations. The grounding electrode system, the ins and outs of crawl space inspection, townhouse building safety features, fireplace and chimney, alternate heating. That's it. Again, that we accept those. Do I have a motion to accept? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? And, the last one is, National Home Inspection Institute, QE request. And it's an online inspection basic course, 106 hours of CE. And, that sounds like a lot, but part of that is the, practicum, I guess, that they do. And, so this is one that we just got. And, it's just CE or QE. It's QE, okay. So you need to, we've got 106 CE there, I believe that's QE.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'd like to recommend that we accept that. Do I have a motion? Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And we have, y'all will turn back on the page, we have 2 appraisal courses. First is appraiser e-learning LLC. And the first one is the appraiser's guide to appraisal inspections, 7 hours of CE. I'd like to recommend that we go ahead and approve. Could I have a motion, please? So moved. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? And finally, is the green out e-learning, market conditions, cradle to grave, data concepts and methods, 3 hours of CE. Like to, make a motion that we accept this. Second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And I do think that this, market conditions is gonna see more of this coming forward, because I think that, moving forward, part of what many appraisers are going to be asked to do is to update their expertise in market conditions. And get a little bit more information, pushing a little AI along with, actual procedures on making those market adjustments. And Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Our financial committee report, Sarah's not here today. In fact, your packet, my cash balance is $2,187,874. Any questions or comments? I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Attorney report.
We had 2 hearings scheduled for today, both on home inspectors. The first one settled by consent agreement, so that was taken off the calendar. The second one, I received a phone call from the home inspector about 10 days ago, maybe, saying that he did not want to come to the hearing today. He wanted to settle this with a consent agreement. He was on his way out of town. He was actually leaving the country to go on vacation. And so he asked how this was going to work. I told him that I would have someone from the board send him the consent agreement, and he'd have to pay the fine. He asked me how to do that. I told him I didn't know, but somebody from the board would reach out to him, which they did. They sent him the consent agreement. He did not pay the penalty, nor did he return the consent agreement. He did say that he was leaving that day to go out of the country. So I told him if it wasn't returned before today, that I would ask the board to continue this matter, give him a chance to get back and pay it and sign it. And if he doesn't, then we will just reset it for a hearing at a later date.
Is it okay with everybody? We'll wait for him to get back. Mr. Hunter,
Yes.
need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
If y'all have any questions, that's the end of the terms.
The investigative report, Susan.
Okay. Since our last board meeting, we held one jurisdiction committee meeting for appraisers. It was case 251168, violations of use PAP, and the committee decided we do have jurisdiction. So if I can get a motion to approve.
Second.
And thanks to Brian and Sarah Hawkins for helping Diana with that one.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And on the home inspectors, thanks to Michael Grappino and Matt Mueller helping me, we did 2 jurisdiction and 2 probable cause hearings on November 21st. Case 250097, understating needed repairs. We found we have jurisdiction. Case 250098, again, understating needed repairs. Again, the committee found we do have jurisdiction. On probable cause, we had case 250082, SOP violations. The committee decided to dismiss with caution, and the respondent is cautioned to give more detailed concerns of action and give more information in the narrative. On case 250091, SOP and Code of Ethics violations, we tabled that one for our contract investigator to review. Then on our home inspector insurance suspensions, we had case COI 251007. 1009 and 1016 all have sent in their consent agreements and paid their civil penalties. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Anything else, Susan? Hey, Ms. Diana, Director report.
Okay, my director's report is fairly short today. I do need the board to ratify a decision. Brian Hester was chair at the time, so he and I discussed it and agreed. We had a home inspector, a gentleman apply for his home inspector license or registration, and he had completed the 80-hour class on May the 21st of 22. So when he submitted his application, he had exceeded the 3-year time limit that we put on the 80-hour class. But he took in January 7th of 23, from January 7th of 23 to June 27th of 25, he was called back to active duty and sent to Bahrain and the Pentagon. So he had 902 days that he was unable to do anything. So we decided, he passed the ethics exam back when he took the original class. He did not pass the National Home Inspector exam until he came back. But Brian and I extended his time frame because of the fact he was able to provide me a copy of his military orders. And with that, sir, I would ask that you guys would approve that for me.
I can have a motion to approve the waiver.
So moved.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Got it. Thank you very much for that. And secondly, I wanted to talk, since our last board meeting, we have primarily been dealing with appraiser trainee and home inspector renewals. With the appraiser trainee or the appraiser trainees, we had 20 of them not renewed, which is when we only started out with 113. When we lost 20, that was a significant number. We have reached out to them by mail, by email a number of times. I don't know why, but I don't think these are 20 that we're going to get back anytime soon. But we did lose 20. We're down, our numbers are down on the, we're down to 92 on the registered apprentice trainee appraisers currently. With respect to home inspectors, it was a little more of concern, and I can't quite, appraisers just didn't renew. Home inspectors, on January 1, we dropped down to 302 registered home inspectors. We were down 61 people. And now we've been able to get back, we got back 41 of those by reaching out to them and reminding them they had to have a license. And it was amazing because they had completed their education months ago and their insurance was up to date. They just needed to pay. So it was a little, I couldn't quite understand why they didn't, because we had sent reminders. I couldn't figure out why they haven't paid. But we are down on home inspectors again. We're down, there's 20 that I don't think we're ever going to get back on those as well. We ended up close to the same amount. But it was a little scary when we dropped to 302 for licensed home inspectors. I have not pulled how many of these did not renew, but there were 72 people last year that received new home inspector licenses, which is a pretty substantial number based on 344 people, 357 people we have as of today. But that was one of the primary things that, and I appreciate Laura for all of her help with it, with home inspectors, and Susie and Sarah for helping me with appraisers. But we did try to stay on top of it. The only thing that I know to do at this point is for us to send out more notices in December before they're late, reminding people that they do need to go ahead and pay, because the vast majority of them had already done their education and their insurance was current, and that's all they needed. So that was just food for thought for you guys.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
when somebody, when a home inspector in these cases doesn't renew, can they, what's the process for them in terms of, let's say they didn't renew this time and they want to renew the next time? Is it, are they just done? Do they have to go back through the whole thing? What do they do?
No, and we made their system exactly like appraisers. If in the first 6 months, they have to pay a late fee because you gotta have skin in the game. So the first 6 months, they would give us any CE and insurance, and they would pay a $50 per month late fee. After 6 months and 1 day, then they don't have to pay a late fee. They have to give us whatever CE they owed us for that renewal. So they always have to pay their fee. But for that second 6 months up to a year, from 6 months and 1 day to 12 months, they can do that. They can come back with just catching up their CE and paying their fees. Once they hit 1 year and 1 day, then they have to, they owe us whatever CE that they would have owed us they owed us when they went out, plus the current year's CE. So they have, now it'll be good for their December renewal this year, but they have to go ahead and pre-give us their education.
Like the appraiser?
It's just like appraisers. The only difference with appraisers, once you're out a year and a day, you have to have a new background check. Home inspectors, we don't have the authority to run a background check, so we don't have that requirement. But they're identical. And this was at the behest of the legislature that we created that reinstatement. So it's an easy process if you want to come back. You don't have to take the test again. You just have to catch up what you owed me when you were out.
I'm not sure I understand about the money. Go back, if it's less than 6 months?
Now, if it's less than 6 months, you pay a late fee.
Okay.
Once you hit 6 months and a day, the late fee drops off.
That's not much incentive, is it?
Well, if you will remember when the reinstatement rule back was created, and you guys were not on the board, but I had a really difficult time getting it through the legislature and the people that were involved, the constituents. So as a gift, because a lot of that was because of appraisers and USPAP. With USPAP, if your USPAP is old, you can't reinstate. So because we were going to make them have to get current with their USPAP after that first 6 month period, we decided to take out the fee. We need to treat everybody the same. And so we treat home inspectors exactly the same. We don't charge them more or less than we would have charged an appraiser.
Okay.
And in that reference, our fees are different, but we still treat them the same. And that was the only way I could get it through. I wanted everybody to have to go take the test again, but that was a non-starter from the get-go. So that is the reason.
Thank you.
And that is my report,
Okay, do we need to ratify that?
I guess. There's anything to ratify there.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the director's report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next, new business, home inspector request concerning BNI. Fraser, not sure what BNI is, but it has to do with how the home inspectors advertise. So with a home inspector like that.
So what BNI is, it is it's a group, and they are a group of professionals, and it could be home inspectors, real estate agents, car salesmen, insurance salesmen, and just a group of professionals. And they have a referral, so they all refer business to each other, just within their group. So if you're a home inspector and there's a real estate agent in there, the real estate agent refers to you every time he sells a home. Now, per his code of ethics, he can't just give one inspector. He has to give multiple inspectors as a referral. But in the BNI group, they only refer to each other. Does that make sense?
So there always been one of each kind of
Professional.
practice. Okay.
In that group.
Okay.
And so it's a networking group, and they meet once a week, and they share referrals. contract, and I referred all 5 of those, in for potential inspections to you. So they track that within the group of referrals.
So do you get invited to be in this group?
Yes and no. So anybody can join a B&I group, and there are multiple B&I groups within a region, within an area. You can get invited to join, or if you know of one and you want to join, you can go and fill out an application and pay a fee. But if there is already a professional that is doing what you do in that group, then you will only one professional each. You know, and to broaden the horizons, if there's insurance agents in there, there may be one insurance agent that is just health insurance, and there may be one insurance agent that is just car insurance. And so there may be multiple insurance agents in there, but they only prefer certain aspects of what they do. So I have had a B&I group in Northwest Arkansas that had 2 inspectors in it, and one was a commercial inspector and one was a residential inspector. So when we talk about our code of ethics for inspecting and referrals, you know, as a realtor, you're not supposed to give one inspector. You're supposed to give multiple options of inspectors if your client asks. But within the B&I group, they just would refer to each other. That makes sense.
So what's the referral fee? How much does he get for referring?
There's no fee exchange.
Okay. So I guess from a realtor standpoint, that's problematic because I've got a fiduciary relationship with my client to serve their interest only. So if I'm referring people that are going to refer to me, even though I'm not receiving a referral fee, I'm expecting quid pro quo, and I think that would violate the realtors on not just Arkansas but nationwide, unless I disclose that. So I'll talk with the real estate commission to see how that needs to be handled, but certainly there needs to be a full disclosure in writing. So you might talk to that with your realtor in your group.
So I'm not in a B&I group.
Okay.
And so I will tell you, when I first started inspecting about 12 years ago, I was in a B&I group.
Yeah.
And the way that the realtor in that group got around it was he would schedule the inspection, he would pay for the inspection, and then when they closed on the house, he would reimburse himself for the closing costs. So they actually paid for the inspection on the end. And so after I learned that, I removed myself from B&I. And then shortly after that, the old board said B&I would no longer be allowed. That's not allowed because it's against our code of ethics. The reality of it is it's against our code of ethics. So if we're asking whether or not we should approve B&I, as a board member, I say no. It's not.
I don't think that I think there are other groups out there that do the very same thing, and maybe have a broader clientele. And it's basically just a referral type network. So
Where did this request come from?
The request came from a home inspector asking me, can he join a B&I group? So I'm bringing it to you guys to, can home inspectors be a part of a B&I group? I mean, I don't know because I don't understand enough about it. Michael's enlightened me on it this morning as well. So the old board was of the opinion that home inspectors should not be members of B&I groups. We'll need to send out an email reminding them or letting them know that the board has considered it again today. I need a motion and a second on whether we're going to allow home inspectors to join B&I.
this is like a reciprocal business.
It is. It is. You just would refer. We'll call it work. You just refer work within that group. You know, that is 100% against a realtor and the home inspector's code of ethics. Now the rest of them in there, not so much. You know, like insurance and But in our realm, it is. It's quid pro quo.
I guess there was a situation a year or two ago where agents within one company were referring inspections to this inspector whose relative worked for that company. And so while that person wasn't getting specific cash remuneration, they were benefiting financially from that. And I think, but when I refer a buyer client of mine to a lender, it's because they're the best lender for that person. And I don't get anything from that. I don't expect anything other than the ability to have good communications and accountability to serve that client. Same thing with insurance, or any carpentry or painting. And I've done work with buyers and sellers, hundreds of thousands of dollars, in helping them get a house ready to sell and repair subject to the inspection, but there's never any quid pro quo. It all has to be to the benefit of the client. And I think if we start giving the thumbs up to something like this, it's going to get into some legal issues with realtors and with other groups. So I would not be in favor of approving that.
Who is are you, like, as a home inspector, what's required of you referral wise? And I'm trying to kind of piece together, because from a real estate standpoint, like, those realtors are in a really bad way to be part of that. Like, it's very clearly wrong. Where I'm stepping out, because my initial gut reaction is like, yeah, it sounds a little bit, too tight. But in my mind also, I'm thinking about, we have a problem with getting more inspectors, the way that we market our businesses. We went through the whole, you can't bring certain things to your presentations anymore because it's an exchange of goods. Which in my mind, I'm thinking a couple things. One is, we're trying to grow an industry. We're trying to make a way for home inspectors to get business. We're losing numbers, and we're making it harder for them to go out and network, connect, and bring in revenue to business. And that's a problem. Everybody is not, very social, very good at presentations, whatever. And for some people, that cookie was like their icebreaker. It's not I'm buying your inspection. This is my way to introduce myself and connect with you and network. And so to me, there's got to be some kind of a balance, because if you really want to get down to it, then we shouldn't be allowed to be referred by any real estate agents, because immediately you're pulling us from a pool of a broader spectrum of people, and they're the focus. So
there are networking groups that allow multiple people from each industry.
But in a BNI, what's required of a home inspector? What I see a clear compromise from the real estate agent. So I've never even heard this, to be honest, for BNI. So I'm trying to get.
So the way it would work in BNI is there would be a plumber, there would be a framer, there would be a HVAC guy, there would be different guys. And so if me in that BNI group, I would be expected that if I inspect a home and they need HVAC work, I would refer this person, or if it needed plumbing work, I would refer this person.
Even if they weren't the ideal person for that particular job.
Yeah.
Well, there's the violation. That's what's kind of.
Yeah.
I don't, especially being duly licensed for me. As a builder, I won't ever give.
Exactly.
Because.
And I didn't explain that very well, but of all the representatives, there'll be a yard cutting guy in there, there'll be a plumber in there, there'll be a framer in there, there'll be a painter in there, there'll be a sheetrock guy in there, one person from each profession. And it's expected that you refer, so if I inspect a home and it's got tape joint cracks everywhere, I'm gonna refer Wally to do that because he's in my BNI group.
I'll shift. I think it's wrong if they have to refer that specific person in a group. I wish we had more latitude to refer to people of quality we do that could help our clients, because we kind of get our hands tied a little bit, even if we know great people, because I think the inspector should be able to take on the liability if they want to refer someone they believe is quality for a job, kind of thing. But
currently not there for that.
But for the BNI situation, if I'm required to put a certain tradesperson in front of my client, then I also am in violation of what I think is inspector. So
Aaron, from a legal standpoint, where are we?
I don't know that there would be any liability on the board, one way or the other. This would be, I think the board is being asked to make a declaratory order on whether or not these would be approved. So if there was a violation, whether it was a home inspector or somebody that was under the authority of this board, the board could point to this declaratory order that's being asked for today and say, we've already said this is wrong, and so therefore we're going to go ahead with discipline. So that's where this would fit into any sort of legal.
Because that's the only time it's gonna come before us, is if somehow the person that referred is found out that they referred because of, and now they follow the process through.
I guess what bothers me is that we're being asked to say you can or cannot do something from the standpoint of this board and their professional obligations. And do we do that with anything else that we do? Are we saying any other time you cannot do this? The board says no. And that bothers me a little bit.
I think the way that I'm looking at this would be if somebody wrote in and said, here's a situation I find myself in as a home inspector. I'm being asked to identify mold. Can I do that? Then the board would say, based on everything that you've told us, either yes or no. And it's the same here. This person has called in and asked a question, can I join this group and still be in compliance with the ethics for home inspectors? And so that's the question for the board. They can still join if they want, but they're going to be subject to discipline because the board is thinking.
Have we already, in essence, covered that it wouldn't be acceptable for our position on? You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big like less regulation person. Less tell you what you can and can't do, and if you're trying to grow a business kind of thing. But if we already not under the umbrella of stated that this is an ethical violation to refer out specifics, covered that to where we're not required to make a definitive statement on a BNI. If it's already under the umbrella of what we said is right and wrong. Does that make sense? I was kind of.
I think so. I think what's happening, the way I'm interpreting this, the person didn't use these words, but the board is allowed to get the declaratory order, basically saying, you tell us what the situation is, and the board will tell you if this is a violation or not. And so I think that's what's happening here. This home inspector, whoever asked, they can still join, they can take referrals, they can do whatever they want. But if they do, then they're going to come before the board in a disciplinary action. He's basically asking before he does this, will I violate any ethical standard in the board's opinion?
So maybe the response is, instead of no, maybe the response is, this would lead to an action. Yeah.
Right. So usually in these types of situations, the board might write an order that says, be mindful of, and then point to the ethical code. And as the board understands the process for a BNI group, this would likely, and it's always going to depend on the situation when something actually does happen, but this would likely be a violation of, and then cite the ethical violation.
So I think, with my understanding, Craig, but I don't know that it'd be an ethics violation to join a BNI. However, if you practice certain things that they require of you, now you've crossed that line.
That's correct.
So if you can join it and you're not referring out specific trades, but you're networking, you're okay. But you better make it clear to the people in that group that you technically cannot.
That's right. And again, this board doesn't have the authority to tell anybody what group they can or cannot join, but what they do once they're a part of that group could be an ethical violation. I think that's what needs to be pointed out to this particular.
I could go along with that a lot better than just saying
Yes or no.
no.
That's right.
Okay, so
we'll get something together and send it to Aaron.
I would recommend checking with real estate commission to see what their position is, because I was in a group one time where there was auto repair and heat and air and different insurance and everything. I still use the auto repair 25 years later. I never use the heat and air because their solution was, well, you need a new unit. And for my clients, I look at quality and cost. And so, but there wasn't any chastising if I recommended somebody outside of that. So this sounds like it's a little tighter regulatory in the group. And that's where you start crossing the line. Like I said, you open yourself up for issues, and that undercuts the whole system of home ownership and having a system that serves the buyers. It's changing from a fiduciary relationship to a car salesman. And which everybody understands, when you go to buy a car, the guy's trying to sell a car for that dealership. With an attorney, the attorney is going to totally sacrifice their own personal interest for their client. And that's what we're supposed to do too. And a home inspector. So.
Okay. Moving right along.
Sure.
We have had a home inspector, basically reporting fraud allegations against the board, against the state. It's a lengthy email back to the back of the packet. I'm just going to summarize. His name's Brian Roundtree. He's a home inspector in Missouri. Missouri does not have to be licensed. He has taken the home inspector test twice to become licensed in Arkansas. He's failed the test both times. And what he's alleging is the Arkansas test is not fair. Well, Arkansas doesn't have a test for it. It's a national test, just like the appraisal test. So he's totally off in the test there. And then we don't know if he's doing any work in Arkansas yet, but he is advertising in Northwest Arkansas. That about get it?
Yep.
He wants reimbursed for his 2 tests that he's been paying.
Yeah, he wants us to pay him back for the 2 tests. You know, it's whatever the board wants to do. My opinion is Diana needs to write him a letter saying that, number one, we're not going to reimburse him. Point out that it's a national test, not a state test. And for him to cease and desist advertising in Arkansas until he passes the test.
I also recommend that you refer him to the national test to deal with them on their unfair test. Let them take it up with them.
And we have done that.
Okay.
We have given him the email address, the bot, everything he could possibly need to do that.
Yeah, well, they got like,
We can remind him again that that's where he needs to go.
it wouldn't put us in a bad position. You might also, when you tell them to cease and desist, say that if he continues to advertise, we're going to feel necessary to notify agents in the area that he is not licensed in Arkansas. So that if he continues, they need to not put themselves in a liability situation by hiring somebody, recommend somebody that's not licensed.
Is this something that our legal counsel can help draft out?
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, I always think when you read something like that, it's all about how you say what you say. And in this particular case, I think it would be a stronger comment to this person. Where does he take the test? Where do you go take the test?
They don't use Pearson View, they use the other one. They use a testing center.
Okay.
A different testing center.
So he had to go to a testing center.
Yeah, it's
PCI.
what?
PCI. PSI.
PSI.
ABCD.
It's PSI, is the one that they use, but yes, so it goes to the testing center.
We had the same complaint of builders who were trying to not license their employees to be realtors because they couldn't pass the test. And it's kind of like, ooh, wait a minute, this isn't the LSAT. This is pretty basic. If you can't pass the test, you don't need to be advising people.
Okay, anything else on that? All right, these next few items are very important to us. First, I need approval, since we're now into 2026, board member expense reimbursements.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I second it.
Go ahead and do that for the next three.
I was gonna ask for a raise.
Oh,
Okay, for board member expense reimbursement, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Tag loud as I, okay.
All right, approval of board member stipends for 2026. I guess we'll get a raise.
No raise.
But I have a motion to approve stipends so we get paid.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Lastly, can I get a motion to approve the food that we eat for 2026?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the approval of CSA risk assessment. It's basically, Susan, you have to help me out, but it's a plan that the department puts together in case there's a HR breach or an IT breach or.
Like a continuity of business.
It's a,
Yeah.
it's a risk assessment. It's a risk. If this happens, what are you gonna do about it?
If anybody wants to review it, we do have a copy.
I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Statement of financial interest due at the end of the month. Everybody get one notarized tonight. I won't say bring them. Just some bring them.
I believe I have everyone.
Get everybody?
Wally, do you want them?
Yeah, I'll get mine.
Okay, do you need a blank one?
Pardon?
Do you need a blank
Yeah, I
copy?
need a blank,
Susie, do you have an extra blank copy, Wally?
Okay. We need to adopt the 2024 use path for 2026. The reason it's the 2024 use path has not changed 2025 or 2026. We're still operating off the 2024 version, but I need approval for 2026.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is the adoption of fees for 2026. We're proposing that the appraisal fees continue with a $75 per year discount. EMC fees are $500 per year. Abstractor fees, no discount. Home inspector fees continue with a $65 discount, and adopt all other fees on the fee schedule. Discussion on that? I can have a motion to approve all five. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Appointment of committees 2026. And last page of the packet. Those over. Got any issues? Or on a committee, but you're going to be on another committee. Now's the time to speak first. If there's no issues, I have a motion to approve the committees.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Last but not least, we've already talked about this, but our next board meeting is March 27th, 10 o'clock. And keep in mind the DEI training is the day before. What time is the DEI training gonna start?
It's probably gonna start at 8:30. So that we can get y'all out of here, because we will have, we'll have box lunches, so we can take a really fast lunch and maybe combine breaks and, you know, take really fast short breaks and get y'all out of here as early as possible.
That we here.
Where is
Here.
it physically to be?
It'll be physically in this room if we can get this room, but we have this room, so we know, not yet,
Not yet.
that we're waiting on it to the approval, but it'll be in this building nonetheless.
So be this board and that's it.
It will be this board, and that's it.
But otherwise closed.
Yes, this is for the board.
All right, if there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I will do that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
And lunch will be here in a minute.